This is the story of a woman who lost everything in one night, and the tech billionaire who found her selling her own blood on the streets of Lagos. What happened next will shock you to your core. Her name was Blessing Nwosu, and she was about to do something that would make you question everything you know about survival. But first, let me warn you, this story will break your heart before it rebuilds your faith in humanity. 6 months ago, Blessing could see the future. Not because she was a prophet, but because she was Lagos's youngest female architect. At 28, she had designed 3 of Victoria Island's most expensive hotels. Her husband, Emeka, ran a successful construction company, and their twin boys, Chidi and Ikenna, were the smartest 8-year-olds in their private school. They lived in a 4-bedroom duplex in Lekki Phase 1. Blessing drove a white Toyota Camry. Emeka had his Range Rover. The boys had everything: PlayStation, private tutors, swimming lessons at the country club. Life was perfect. Until that Thursday night in January, when everything went to hell. Blessing was working late in her home office, finalizing designs for a new shopping mall in Abuja. The boys were asleep upstairs. Emeka had gone to check on a construction site in Aya, a routine evening inspection that should have taken 2 hours maximum. At 11:47 p.m., her phone rang. "Mrs. Nwosu?" The voice was shaky, official. "This is Sergeant Okoro from Lagos State Police. There's been an accident." The words that followed would replay in her mind for months. "Gas explosion at the construction site. Your husband..." "I'm sorry, ma'am. There were no survivors." Blessing dropped the phone. The sound echoed through the house like a gunshot. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part came 3 hours later, when the same officer called back with news that would destroy her completely. "Ma'am, we found 2 bodies at the site, your husband and a woman. They were together when the explosion happened." Emeka had been cheating. On the night he died, he wasn't checking construction materials. He was with another woman in what should have been an empty building. Blessing screamed so loud she woke the boys. 8-year-old Chidi and Ikenna ran downstairs to find their mother collapsed on the marble floor, clawing at her chest like she was trying to rip out her own heart. "Mama, what's wrong? Where's Papa?" Chidi asked, his voice small and frightened. How do you tell twin boys that their father is dead and their perfect family was built on lies? The funeral was a nightmare. Emeka's family blamed Blessing for the accident. His mother, Mama Emeka, stood at the graveside pointing fingers. "You were never good enough for my son," she screamed in Igbo. "That's why he was looking for a better woman. You killed him with your bad luck." But the real shock came the next week when Blessing went to access their joint bank accounts. Everything was empty. Emeka had secretly been gambling their money away for months, borrowing against their properties, using their house as collateral for loans she knew nothing about. The successful construction business was a facade. They were millions in debt. The banks came first. Then the loan sharks Emeka had borrowed from started calling. Men with tribal marks and dangerous eyes who said her husband owed them 15 million naira. "Your husband promised to pay us back this month," the leader said, sitting uninvited in her living room. "Since he's dead, the debt falls to you." "I don't have that kind of money," Blessing pleaded. "Then you have 30 days to find it, or we'll take your children." Within 2 weeks, they had seized the house, the cars, everything. Blessing and the boys moved to a single room in Mushin, one of Lagos's toughest slums. From a 4-bedroom duplex to a 10 by 12 room with no electricity, no running water, and rats as roommates. The boys stopped asking when they would go home. They could see the answer in their mother's hollow eyes. But the worst was yet to come. 3 months after Emeka's death, Blessing woke up one morning and couldn't see. Not blurry vision, not difficulty seeing, complete, total blindness. "Mama, why are your eyes not moving?" Ikenna asked, waving his hand in front of her face. At the government hospital, the doctor delivered the crushing diagnosis: severe glaucoma triggered by extreme stress. The pressure in your eyes has damaged your optic nerves beyond repair. "I'm sorry, but the blindness is permanent." In one night, Blessing had lost her husband, her home, her money, and now her sight. She was 28 years old, completely blind, completely broke, with twin boys depending on her in one of Lagos's most dangerous neighborhoods. "How will we eat, Mama?" Chidi asked one evening after they'd had only bread and water for 3 days. Blessing had no answer. She couldn't work as an architect. She couldn't even navigate the streets safely. Every job she tried to get, they took one look at her clouded eyes and said, "Sorry, we don't hire disabled people." That's when she remembered something a neighbor had mentioned. There's a place in Yaba where they buy blood. Clean blood. They pay 5,000 naira per pint. At first, the idea disgusted her, selling her own blood like some kind of vampire victim. But when Ikenna started fainting in school from hunger, when Chidi began stealing bread from the local shop, Blessing knew she had no choice. "God," she prayed that night, "if this is what I have to do to feed my children, then help me survive it." The medical center in Yaba was nothing like a hospital. It was a cramped room with old equipment and a man in a dirty white coat who asked no questions as long as your blood was clean. "First time?" Dr. Bello asked, noting Blessing's trembling hands. "Yes, sir." "You're healthy?" "No HIV, no hepatitis." "I'm clean, sir." He took her blood pressure, checked her pulse, and inserted the needle. For 20 minutes, Blessing sat there watching her blood flow into a plastic bag, thinking about how her life had become a horror movie. 5,000 naira. Enough to buy rice, beans, and oil for a week. She came back the following week. Then again. Dr. Bello started recognizing her. "You're becoming a regular. That's not good for your health." "I have twin boys," Blessing explained. "If I don't do this, they don't eat." "How often are you coming?" "Twice a week." Dr. Bello frowned. "That's dangerous. You're going to make yourself seriously ill." But Blessing had no choice. The boys needed food, needed school fees, needed medicine when they got sick. Her blood was the only thing of value she had left. After 3 months of selling her blood twice a week, Blessing could barely walk. She was constantly dizzy, always tired. Her skin had turned pale yellow. But she kept going because the alternative was watching her children starve. One Wednesday morning, after giving blood, she collapsed outside the medical center. When Blessing regained consciousness, she was lying on the sidewalk outside the blood center with a crowd of people staring down at her. "Mama, are you okay?" A young girl's voice. Blessing tried to sit up, but the world spun violently. She had pushed her body too far. The constant blood selling had left her severely anemic, weak, and barely able to function. But she couldn't stop. The boys were waiting at home, depending on today's 5,000 naira for their next meal. "Please," she whispered to the crowd, "help me get to Computer Village. I need to find work." Someone helped her to her feet. With her white cane in one hand and her bag in the other, Blessing began the long walk to Computer Village, Ikeja's massive electronics market. Maybe someone there would hire a blind woman to do something. Anything. The walk took 2 hours. Every step was agony. Her legs shook, her head pounded, but she kept moving. Computer Village was chaos. Thousands of people, cars honking, generators roaring, traders shouting prices. For a blind woman, it was like navigating hell. Blessing stood at the main entrance, holding up a cardboard sign she'd asked someone to write for her. "I am blind, but I can work. Please, give me a chance." People walked past her like she was invisible. Some threw coins at her feet, thinking she was begging. Others made cruel comments. "Blind woman, go and sit at home. Stop blocking the road." After 4 hours in the sun, weak from blood loss and hunger, Blessing finally found a spot under a small tree. She sat down heavily, her body giving up. That's where she was sitting when the convoy of black SUVs pulled up. Chief Adebayo Ogundimu was running late. His meeting with Chinese investors was supposed to start an hour ago, but Lagos traffic had other plans. His driver, Kimi, was doing her best to navigate the chaos of Computer Village's main road. Adebayo was Nigeria's youngest tech billionaire. At 35, his company PayNaja had revolutionized digital payments across Africa. Forbes estimated his net worth at $2.8 billion. He owned homes in Lagos, London, and Dubai. His garage had more cars than some dealerships, but success hadn't made him forget where he came from. Born in Ajagunle, one of Lagos's worst slums, Adebayo had grown up watching his single mother, Mama Bayodun, sell pure water sachets on the street to pay his school fees. She died when he was 16, before she could see him become successful. "Sir, there's traffic ahead," Kemi announced. "Some kind of commotion at the main junction." Through the tinted windows, Adebayo could see a crowd gathering around something. His natural curiosity made him roll down the window to get a better look. That's when he saw her. A young woman sitting under a tree, clearly in distress. She was holding a cardboard sign. Her clothes were clean but old, and there was something about her posture that spoke of quiet desperation rather than professional begging. "Stop the car," Adebayo ordered. "Sir, we're already late for the meeting." "Stop the car!" His security detail immediately got nervous. Their boss was stepping out of his bulletproof SUV in the middle of Computer Village's chaotic main road to approach a stranger. Adebayo walked over to where Blessing sat. Up close, he could see she was blind. Her eyes had the cloudy appearance of someone with severe glaucoma. But it was her hands that caught his attention. They were covered in small puncture marks, like someone had been repeatedly inserting needles. "Excuse me," he said gently in English. "Are you all right?" Blessing's head snapped up. She hadn't expected anyone to actually speak to her. "Sir, I'm fine. I'm just looking for work." "What kind of work?" "Anything, sir. I can clean, I can wash clothes, I can answer phones. I used to be an architect before." She gestured helplessly at her eyes. Adebayo knelt down to her level. "What's your name?" "Blessing Nwosu, sir." "Those marks on your hands, have you been selling blood?" Blessing's face flushed with shame. In her weakness, she had forgotten to cover the needle marks. "Sir, please don't judge me. I have twin boys. If I don't do this, they don't eat." "How often?" "Twice a week for 3 months." Adebayo's jaw tightened. This woman was slowly killing herself to feed her children. "Where are your boys now?" "At home in Mushin, sir. They're waiting for me to bring money for food." "Stand up," Adebayo said, his voice suddenly authoritative. Blessing struggled to her feet, using the tree for support. She was clearly weak, malnourished, and at the end of her strength. "My name is Adebayo Ogundimu. I want to help you." Blessing had never heard the name, but something in his voice made her pay attention. "Sir, I don't want charity. I just want work." "This isn't charity. This is an investment. But first, we need to get you to a hospital. You're severely anemic." Within minutes, Blessing found herself in the back of a luxury SUV, heading to Lagos University Teaching Hospital. She had no idea who this man was or why he was helping her, but for the first time in months, she felt a flicker of hope. At LUTH, Dr. Adania took one look at Blessing's blood test results and shook his head grimly. "Mr. Ogundimu, this woman is in critical condition. Her hemoglobin level is dangerously low. She's been slowly bleeding herself to death. Can you fix it? She needs immediate blood transfusion, iron supplements, and complete rest for at least 2 weeks. If she had continued selling blood, she would have died within a month." While Blessing received treatment, Adebayo made a phone call that would change everything. "Kemi, I need you to go to an address in Mushin. Find 2 boys named Chidi and Ikenna Nwosu. Bring them here safely." "Sir, Mushin is very dangerous. Should I take security?" "Take whoever you need. Just bring those children." 2 hours later, 8-year-old Chidi and Ikenna were reunited with their mother in a private hospital room that was bigger than their entire home in Mushin. "Mama!" they cried, running to hug her. "We thought you were dead. You didn't come home." Blessing held her boys close, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry, my sons. Mama is here now." Adebayo watched from the doorway, thinking of his own mother who had struggled alone to raise him. He made a decision that would change all their lives. "Mrs. Nwosu," he said, entering the room, "I have a proposal for you." "I want to offer you a job," Adebayo began. "But first, let me tell you who I am." He explained about Penaija, about his journey from Ajagunle to becoming one of Africa's most successful entrepreneurs. The boys listened with wide eyes as this stranger described a world they could barely imagine. "I need someone to head our new corporate social responsibility division. Someone who understands suffering, who won't waste money on meaningless projects. Someone who knows what it's like to need help." Blessing was skeptical. "Sir, I'm blind. I have no experience in corporate work." Why would you trust me with such responsibility? Because you're still alive. Because you found a way to feed your children when you had nothing. Because you didn't give up even when your body was failing. That's exactly the kind of person I need. The salary he offered made Blessing's head spin. 500,000 naira per month, plus housing, plus medical coverage, plus school fees for the boys. Sir, this is too much. I can't accept charity. It's not charity, it's business. I need someone to run programs that will help thousands of families like yours. If you do the job well, you'll earn every naira. But Adebayo wasn't finished. There's something else. I'm also funding surgery for your eyes. There's a specialist in Dubai who might be able to restore some of your vision. 3 weeks later, Blessing found herself on a plane to Dubai, her first time ever leaving Nigeria. Dr. Hassan Al-Rashid was one of the world's leading eye surgeons, and he had agreed to examine her case. After extensive tests, he delivered unexpected news. Mrs. Nwosu, your blindness wasn't caused by glaucoma alone. These scans show signs of poisoning. Someone has been slowly poisoning you with a substance that attacks the optic nerves. The room went silent. Poisoning? That's impossible. Who would poison me? Dr. Al-Rashid showed her the test results. The toxin is found in certain industrial chemicals. It would have been added to your food or drink over several months. The stress of your husband's death triggered the final stage. But this was a gradual poisoning. Blessing's mind raced. Who had access to her food? Who wanted her blind and helpless? Then it hit her like a thunderbolt. Mama Emeka. Her mother-in-law had been bringing her food regularly after Emeka's death, claiming she wanted to help. You're too weak to cook, she had said. Let me take care of you. Blessing had been grateful for the help, never suspecting that every meal was laced with poison designed to destroy her sight. Can you reverse it? She asked Dr. Al-Rashid. Partially. I can restore about 60% of your vision, but it will require multiple surgeries over 6 months. When Blessing returned to Lagos with bandages over her eyes from the first surgery, she asked Adebayo to help her investigate. His security team had connections with the police that regular citizens could never access. What they discovered was even worse than poison. Mama Emeka hadn't just wanted Blessing blind. She had orchestrated Emeka's death. The gas explosion at the construction site had been planned. Mama Emeka had discovered her son's affair and decided to kill him rather than let him divorce Blessing and marry his mistress. She had hired men to rig the explosion, then blamed Blessing for being a bad wife. But why poison Blessing afterward? The answer was in Emeka's will, which his mother had hidden. Despite all the debts, Emeka had a life insurance policy worth 50 million naira. If Blessing died or became incapacitated, the money would go to Mama Emeka as the next of kin. The poison was meant to make Blessing completely helpless, then finish the job with a fatal dose once the insurance payout was secured. She killed my husband and tried to kill me, Blessing whispered when the police detective explained everything. She destroyed my family for money. Mama Emeka was arrested at her home in Aba. When confronted with the evidence, she broke down and confessed everything. That girl was never good enough for my son, she screamed as they led her away in handcuffs. She deserved to suffer, too. 6 months later, Blessing stood in front of the Paynaja headquarters in Victoria Island, her vision restored to about 70%, enough to see her son's faces clearly for the first time in over a year. She had transformed Paynaja's CSR division into the most effective poverty-fighting program in Nigeria. The Second Chance Initiative provided microloans, job training, and medical care to families in crisis. But her biggest project was personal: the Blessing Nwosu Blood Bank. Too many people are selling their blood out of desperation, she explained to the board of directors. We're going to pay fair prices for blood donations while providing free medical care and job training to the donors. The blood bank became a model for other countries. Instead of exploiting desperate people, it created a sustainable system that helped them build better lives. Chidi and Ikenna were thriving in their new school. They had started a charity club that collected books for poor children, inspired by their mother's story. Mama, Chidi said one evening, are you going to marry Uncle Adebayo? Blessing laughed. What makes you think that? He looks at you funny, and he bought us PlayStation 5. It was true that Adebayo had become more than just her boss. Their shared commitment to helping others had grown into something deeper. But Blessing was cautious. She had trusted a man completely once before, and it had nearly destroyed her. 2 years after their first meeting at Computer Village, Adebayo proposed to Blessing in the most unexpected way. He had organized a surprise celebration for the 10,000th family helped by the Second Chance Initiative. The venue was the Eco Hotel Ballroom, filled with politicians, celebrities, and business leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, Adebayo announced, the success of our programs is due to one person's vision and determination. Mrs. Blessing Nwosu has shown us that helping others isn't charity. It's good business. The crowd applauded as Blessing stood up, still not used to being the center of attention. But there's something else I want to announce tonight, Adebayo continued. Blessing, you've changed my life in ways you can't imagine. You've shown me that true wealth isn't measured in money, but in the lives we touch. He dropped to one knee right there in front of 500 people. Will you marry me? The ballroom erupted in cheers. Blessing was speechless, her partially restored vision blurred by tears of joy. Yes, she whispered, then louder. Yes! Their wedding 6 months later was the social event of the year. But the most moving moment came when Chidi and Ikenna walked their mother down the aisle. Papa would be proud, Ikenna whispered to his brother. He's watching from heaven, Chidi replied. 5 years later, Blessing Ogundimu stood in her office on the 40th floor of the new Painaija Tower, looking out over Lagos. The city that had once been so cruel to her now looked like a kingdom she was helping to transform. The Second Chance Initiative had expanded to 12 African countries. The Blessing Blood Bank had become a model copied worldwide. She had written a best-selling book, From Blood to Billions: How I Survived Nigeria's Worst and Built Africa's Best. Most importantly, she had created the Young Entrepreneurs Academy, where children from slums could learn technology and business skills. Mama, there's someone here to see you, her assistant announced. A young woman entered, holding a baby. She looked nervous, desperate, the same look Blessing remembered from her own darkest days. Ma'am, my name is Grace. I've been selling my blood to feed my baby. I heard about your program. Can you help me? Blessing smiled, remembering the scared woman she had once been. Sit down, Grace. Tell me your story. As Grace talked about her struggles, Blessing thought about the mysterious ways life can change. 6 years ago, she had been slowly bleeding herself to death on the streets of Lagos. Now, she was one of Africa's most powerful women, married to a billionaire, mother to 2 brilliant boys, and leader of programs that had helped over 100,000 families. The woman who had once sold her blood for 5,000 naira now controlled a foundation worth 50 billion naira. Grace, she said, when the young woman finished her story, your blood-selling days are over. We're going to find you a job, get you proper housing, and make sure your baby has everything she needs. Ma'am, why would you help a stranger? Blessing looked at the photo on her desk, herself, Adebayo, and the boys at their last family vacation in Dubai. Because 6 years ago, a stranger helped me when I was exactly where you are now. Because kindness isn't charity, it's investment in a better world. Today, the Blessing Ogundimu Foundation is the largest poverty-fighting organization in Africa. The woman who once crawled through Computer Village begging for work now employs over 10,000 people across the continent. Chidi and Ikenna, now 16, have both been accepted to MIT for early admission. They plan to return to Nigeria after their studies to expand their mother's work. Mama Emeka died in prison, bitter and alone. Her attempt to destroy Blessing had instead created one of Africa's most powerful success stories. And in Dubai, Dr. Al-Rashid still tells his students about the Nigerian woman who proved that sometimes the people who fall the hardest are the ones who bounce back the highest. She came to me blind and broken, he says. She left with more than just her sight restored. She left with a vision for changing the world. The blood bank that started it all still operates in Yaba, but now it's a medical center that provides free healthcare to anyone who needs it. Above the entrance, a plaque reads, "In memory of all who sold their blood out of desperation, and in hope of a world where no one has to." Every year on the anniversary of that day at Computer Village, Blessing returns to the same spot where Adebayo found her. She sits under the same tree, now grown large and strong, and remembers the woman who once thought her life was over. Children from the neighborhood come to hear her story. She tells them the same thing every time. No condition is permanent. Your current situation is not your final destination. Keep moving, keep hoping, keep believing. Your miracle is looking for you. And somewhere in Lagos, in the slums and streets where desperate people still struggle, another blessing is fighting to survive, not knowing that her breakthrough is just one kindness away. The woman who sold her blood to save her children had become the queen who saves thousands of children with her wealth. From blood to billions, from crawling to crowned, from broken to blessed. This is Nigeria. This is how miracles happen. If this story touched your heart, remember that there are thousands of women like Blessing still struggling on our streets today. True change happens when we stop walking past and start stopping to help. Be someone's miracle today.